everybody. Hope you enjoy our performance just now. It was called Bye Bye Blackbird. Very beautiful jazz song. And today we're going to talk about what is jazz. Now, a lot of people may not hear or understand what jazz is, or they have different ideas about jazz, but today we're going to explain that to you. First thing is, what is jazz? There are two things that you must remember. The first thing about jazz is it has to swing. There is this swing in jazz that is very, very unique. Two, it has to have improvisation. In other words, when you play and when we start playing jazz, we have to think out of the box, think spontaneously what we should play at that moment. It is not written down. You cannot rehearse. You cannot go back and practice for 3 months and then you play. You just play. So I'm going to demonstrate with the band using a very simple nursery rhyme, Twinkle, Twinkle Little Stars, and you see what I mean. Now, normally when we play Twinkle, Twinkle Little Stars, it might sound like this. So that is the normal way of playing Twinkle, Twinkle Little Stars, right? So this time we're going to change a little bit. We're going to add some swing into it. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to do the same song with improvisation. So we're not going to plan it. We didn't rehearse it. We cannot practice it. But I'm going to come out with different melodies to try to improvise and change some things in the same song that we play. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next thing I want to talk about is, where did jazz come from? How did it come about and originate? Well, historically speaking, jazz came from this city called New Orleans in Louisiana back a long time ago, perhaps the late 1800s. And what happened was there were a lot of African American slaves being brought to the US and they were working in the cotton farms. Now, I want you to imagine they're pretty sad because they are slaves and they have to work day and night in the hot sun and slaving away and just plowing the land and so on and so forth. So they were pretty sad, and there was not much other things they can do except to sing their own spiritual songs and spiritual hymns. And most of these tunes coming out were pretty sad, So we're going to demonstrate, I'm going to act out a little bit this part, and you will hear what we call the blues. And this is how it all came about. Okay, so I want you to imagine that we are now slaves working in the cotton farms in the Louisiana in the US, and we are singing some sad bluesy tunes. Okay, so I'm gonna sing and then they're gonna echo after me. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we have to pretend to plow the land. Yeah. Okay. Here. All right. Okay. Here we go. I am so sad.
I am so sad.
I'm working on the
I'm
farm,
working on the farm.
and day and night,
And day and night.
no end in sight.
No end in sight.
Yeah, and that's how it was at that time. Okay, and this was uh, the beginning, the birth of blues, and later on, oh, you can go back now. You can. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Later on, the African American people, they, with the abolition of slavery, they were more free to do what they wanted to do. And a lot of them formed bands and they play and so on and so forth. The Caucasians heard it and they were like, wow, what kind of music is this? We have not heard this kind of music before. So that's how it spread. We're going to play a little bit of this blues thing on the instruments and you get a better idea. Here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, next, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what are the different kinds of jazz. There are many, many different kinds of jazz music. Some are fast, some are slow, some are happy, some are sad, some are funky, some are groovy, some are swingy. There are so many kinds. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of each kind. But before I play, I will explain to you some characteristics of that particular style. So here we go. The first one, okay, is called ragtime jazz. Okay, so ragtime jazz, maybe back in the 1900s, early 1900s, and these were pianists who play in the dance halls and clubs, as it were, and this is an example of it. So that is ragtime music. Yeah, boom, chak, boom, chak. So it has this little, very straight little beat. Boom, chak, boom, chak, boom, chak, boom, chak. And it's sweet and it's nice for people to enjoy. So that's ragtime. Next, we're going to talk about another style of jazz called big band swing. Okay, so big band swing probably was in the 1930s, around there. We have people like Duke Ellington and so on. And these were band leaders who had a large group of people in the band. And they were people like in trumpets and saxophone and so on and so forth. All right. But today, of course, it's just the three of us. But we're going to play one famous big band swing piece called Take the A Train. Take the A Train. So we're going to play this one and hope you enjoy this one. Another style of jazz called bebop. Bebop, B-E-B-O-P. Now, what is bebop? Bebop is a little bit different from big band jazz, swing, because it is fast and furious. It is faster, it has more notes, it is quite difficult to play, but we're going to try it anyway. So here we go, and we're going to play this song called Oleo, O-L-E-O, Oleo. Now, the next kind of jazz is called Latin jazz. It's quite different from the rest because Latin jazz comes from Brazil and coming from Cuba. So we're going to introduce to you Brazilian bossa nova jazz. So bossa nova comes from Brazil and it is a very relaxing kind of jazz for you to just chill and relax, have a drink, read a book, and you play this music and you feel very relaxed. Okay, so we're going to play this song called The Girl from Ipanema, Brazilian bossa nova Latin jazz. Okay, the next kind of jazz is called cool jazz or modal jazz. This jazz is very different from bebop because this time things are a bit slower and a little bit more cool. So for that, we need to be quite cool playing this next song, and let's be cool. All right. Hope you enjoyed that song. The next song, the next style of jazz is called fusion. Fusion. Join. Fusion of what? Fusion of jazz and rock and pop and R&B and all kinds of different styles. A little bit like Rojak. Okay? And this time, but fusion is quite interesting because it's very groovy, it's very funky, and it has a very nice groove to it. I think once we play, you'll know what I mean. And this song is called Chameleon. So chameleon changes its colors, right? Because it's a mixture of different things, okay? So that's why we want to play Chameleon. So here we go. Fusion, jazz, Chameleon. All right, the next kind of jazz is called contemporary jazz. Now, this jazz is even more modern than what we heard just now from Chameleon. And we're going to use this pop song called Sunday Morning, and we're going to jazz it up using this style called contemporary jazz style. Okay, we're going to talk next about one thing very, very important. And what is this thing? It's the jazz beat. What is the jazz beat? Woo! The jazz beat is very different from the classical beat. So in order for you to understand, we're going to talk about what is the classical beat first. So for those of you who learn classical music, you will know that most of the time music has 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And in classical music, the beat is strong on the 1 and the 3. The 1 and the 3. So I'm going to give you an example, and Ralph and Janelle they're gonna help me to clap on the 1 and the 3 as I play this short classical excerpt. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so as you can hear, the beat is very strong on the 1 and the 3. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we talk about the classical, the jazz beat, it's, you guessed it, it's on the 2 and the 4. The strong beats are actually on the 2 and the 4. That is why it makes it a little bit more bouncy and jazzy and swinging compared to if it is on the 1 and the 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a very simple chord progression. We do a 1, 6, 2, 5 in C, yeah? Okay, and swing, and then we'll try to emphasize on the 2 and the 4, and you'll hear the difference. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear the jazz beat is on the 2 and the 4. Boom, pa, boom, pa, 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 pa. clap along with me. 1, 2, 3. Everybody clap along with me. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. Next, we're going to talk about the jazz scat. Jazz scat. Now, what is the jazz scat? A jazz scat is a kind of improvisation using your mouth. And what we try to do is we try to come up with new tunes and melodies using our mouth and using all kinds of different syllables to imitate different instruments. For example, you can imitate a trumpet, pa pa da pa pa pa, a tuba, po 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 po, trombone, po 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 po, you know, or drums, or a bass, or whatever instruments that you fancy. The important thing is to have fun and come up with creative melodies, spontaneous melodies, so that you can have fun scatting in jazz, okay? And all this is in the spirit of improvisation. So I'm going to give an example of how we can scat and what syllables we can use. So you can use, let me just draw this little box here. Say, do, 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 do. You can use do we, do we, we, do we, and did, do. Okay? So let's be creative, be daring to try new things, okay? So we're going to try it out. Now I'm going to use, back to our nursery rhyme again, okay? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And instead of singing, twinkle, twinkle, little star, we're going to use these syllables. Do, 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 we do. We do, we did, do. Do, 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 we do, do. Ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, ba. To ba, ba, did, da, day. Ba, ba, do, 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 we do, do. We're going to try now to get Ralph and Janelle to scat along with me. Okay, I'll keep it easy for you, all right? We'll keep things simple. Whatever I sing, you just follow me. Is that okay? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. To that baby. That's good. Should be the bay, should be the bay. Ba ba da ba 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 do de do. Yeah, that's very good. All right, we're going to try with this little short progression that we're going to play. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scat, and all you have to do is just copy me, just follow after me. All right, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shoo-be-be-da-bay. Shoo-be-be-da-bay. 1, 2, 3, go. Shoo-be-be-da-bay. Your turn. Shoo-be-be-da-bay. 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 Ship, ship, did Ship, 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 day. We do we. Did do. All right, that was good. Give yourself a clap. We have come to an end of this program today, Jazz for Kids, and we're going to summarize a little bit of what we have done today so that you can remember, and hopefully one day you can apply some of these things if you were to learn jazz in the future. So the first thing we talked about was what is jazz, and we talked about the fact that it is has swing, it has a swing beat, and we need to improvise on jazz and try out new things spontaneously. We introduced different kinds of jazz, bebop, ragtime, Latin jazz, fusion, and so on and so forth. We talked about the jazz beat. What is the jazz beat as opposed to the classical beat? And lastly, we talked about the jazz scat. Yes, and we had some great fun singing the different syllables and having fun just scatting. So to end off, we're going to play a couple of jazz tunes for your enjoyment and hope that you will like jazz in the future or even now after this program. And if you want to find out more, you can talk to your teacher, and I'm sure your teacher will point you in the right direction.